Ethan stood at the counter of the candy store, where the scent of spun sugar and caramel hung thick in the air. In his pocket, he gripped the cold coins his mother had given him specifically for fruit. His eyes locked onto a shimmering bag of dark chocolates, a forbidden treasure. He told himself he would only look, just a quick glance, but his heart hammered against his ribs. His hand seemed to move on its own, sliding the coins across the glass counter with a soft clink. He stuffed the bag deep into his pocket, the crinkle of the plastic sounding like a thunderclap in his ears. Back in the sanctuary of his room, he tore the bag open. He ate greedily until his stomach felt heavy and his hands were sticky with melted cocoa. 3 days later, the sweetness turned to salt. A sharp electric jolt of pain hit his jaw while he ate dinner. Ethan froze, dropping his fork with a clatter. By the next morning, the mild ache had transformed into a constant, agonizing throb that pulsated with every single heartbeat. He tried to hide the evidence, pressing a cold, damp towel to his swollen cheek, but the agony was written plainly on his face. At the dinner table, she didn't ask questions. She simply reached out, felt the heat radiating from his jaw. His mother watched him wince in silence, and grabbed her car keys. The car ride was silent, filled only with the sound of Ethan's heavy breathing and the ticking of the clock. The dentist's office smelled of sharp antiseptic and cold metal. Ethan sat in the oversized leather chair, his knuckles turning white as he gripped the armrests. The dentist, a man of few words, pointed a blindingly bright light into his mouth and gently tapped a tooth. Ethan let out a sharp, involuntary cry. The dentist sighed, clicking an image onto the wall monitor. A dark, jagged shadow loomed over the root of the tooth on the X-ray. "It has to come out," the dentist said, his voice flat and final. Ethan watched the tray of metal tools glisten under the surgical lights, feeling a new wave of cold dread wash over him. The procedure began with the cold sting of numbing gel. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, his entire body shaking as he felt the heavy pressure of the dentist's hand. He could feel the tooth being forced from his gum, a grinding sensation that echoed through his skull. He focused on his breathing, trying to drown out the metallic clinking of the tools. When it was finally over, the pressure vanished, leaving his head spinning in the sudden silence. He sat back, exhausted and trembling, feeling the empty space where his secret had once festered. The physical toll of his deception was finally complete, leaving him hollow and dazed. On the drive home, the gap in his mouth felt like a vast cavern. He looked at his mother, his throat tight with more than just pain. "I bought those chocolates behind your back," he whispered. "That is why this happened." His mother didn't yell. She reached over and squeezed his shoulder, keeping her hand there. Ethan stared out the window at the passing trees. He realized the hidden snack had cost far more than the coins in his pocket. From that day on, he left the choices to his mother. His toothbrush, a permanent fixture on the sink, the secret finally gone.